Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Pokemon fans of the world, MegaCrasher is here, and it's been a while since I've done a video like this. This is going to be a very special top 10 video consisting of my best picks from Pokemon Sun and Moon in terms of my favorite Pokemon. Now, of course, there are going to be a couple of exceptions to the rule right here. Number one, I will not be including any Ultra Beast or Legendary Pokemon. And number two, I will not be including any of the Alolan forms that the past generation Pokemon have got in this generation. Those Pokemon will be saved for different videos. I just want to focus on the brand new Pokemon that have been introduced, new concepts, all that good stuff. So let's see if we can aim for 25 likes here in this video. With all that being said, out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this! Woo! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so we are going to be starting off this list with Silvally. And I just gotta say that I fell for this Pokemon the moment that I seen this, man. And especially given the fact that this is based off of the Pokemon Arceus, I thought that this Pokemon was going to be so damn broken. Now, of course, the thing of it is, it's not exactly broken. It does have base 95 stats across the board, so it doesn't exactly excel in anything too special, but it also doesn't lack in anything too bad. I mean, it's got 95 for bulk across the board, it's got 95 for attack, special attack, and speed. And it also has a really unique sort of concept that is based off of Arceus, considering the fact that you can change its typing based on the memory that it holds. And with that, it also has a move that changes typing based on the memory that it holds. Doesn't that sound exactly like the way that Arceus functions? Now, of course, this Pokemon is often referred to as a poor man's Arceus because it doesn't have as deep of a move pool as Arceus does. It doesn't even have access to recover or anything like that. But you want to know something? I don't quite understand why this Pokemon gets the amount of hate that it does. I fucking love this Pokemon. I mean, this Pokemon has the ability to fill in the gaps on your team if you're lacking an Electric type or any type of Pokemon that your team needs. If you need a bulky Fairy type Pokemon, wham! Guess what? You got Fairy type Silvally. If you need a bulky Water type, guess what? Wham! You got yourself a Water type Silvally. Electric type, wham! Electric Silvally. Things like that. And you want to know something is that this Pokemon actually has the capabilities to be able to be as good as any other Pokemon in OU if used correctly. Yes, I am a Smogon guy, and I always will be, man, but I just gotta say, anyways, getting back on track, is that Silvally has a respectable move pool that allows for it to be a very diverse attacker, whether you want to be a physical attacker, mixed attacker, special attacker. Not to mention, this Pokemon also has access to Parting Shot, which in my opinion is a much better version of the likes of Volt Switch and U-Turn, given the fact that while you don't cause any damage, you lower your opponent's attack and special attack by one stage, softening them up so that way your switch-in will be able to take hits better and put you at an advantage. And I also need to mention that this Pokemon has access to the ability Z Parting Shot if you give it a Darkinium Z. And the thing of it is that with Z Parting Shot, not only does it allow for you to lower your opponent's offensive stats by one stage, but the Pokemon that's replacing Silvally has all of its health healed up, which I think is pretty damn cool, and it kind of reminds me of a different variation of Healing Wish. And also, need I remind you guys, this thing gets access to Explosion too. Swords Dance Explosion on a normal type Silvally is going to hurt like hell. And I just gotta say that there's one other Pokemon that has Stab to Explosion, and that's Licky. So this right here makes Silvally in a league of its own, in my opinion. So with all that being said, out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to move on to number 9! Woo! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the next Pokemon on the list comes in the form of Snoop Dogg. Wait, did I say Snoop Dogg? I mean Drampa. Good God, this Pokemon looks so much like Snoop Dogg, it's quite easy to get the two mixed up. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see why this Pokemon makes it on the list as one of my top 10 favorite Pokemon from Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. The design of it by itself is absolutely incredible. Not to mention, them eyebrows are on fleek, yo. I mean, I have never seen a Pokemon with eyebrows like that, man. And secondly, this Pokemon has an amazing ability known as Berserk, which is an ability that allows for you to boost your special attack by one stage whenever you get knocked down below half your health. And consider that this Pokemon has access to semi-respectable bulk and roost as well. You are able to abuse the hell out of that ability, making you quite the formidable sweeper, especially under Trick Room, given the fact that this Pokemon has a very, very low speed. Now, this Pokemon has access to just about every single type of move you can ask for. This Pokemon's move pool is so bloody deep. Hyper Voice, Shadow Ball, Dragon Pulse, Draco Meteor, Fire Blast, Blizzard. Like, this Pokemon literally can do it all. Like, this Pokemon's type coverage is off the chain, man. And I just gotta say, woo! I am so excited whenever I see this Pokemon in action, because you know that Pokemon that face off against it are going to get hurt bad. So, with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to move on to number 8! Woo! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the next Pokemon on the list comes in the form of Dhelmise. Now, this Pokemon's design is one of the very best designs that I have ever seen, man. I mean, I have never ever thought that Game Freak would come up with a fucking anchor Pokemon, but they have. I mean, the thing of it is, like, if you can create Pokemon out of ice cream cones, trash bags, washing machines, lawnmowers, all that stuff, man, keys even, then definitely, eventually, you're gonna come up with an anchor Pokemon, and I just gotta say that Game Freak made Dhelmise exceptionally well. I mean, you would probably think that an anchor Pokemon, being an inanimate object at first, turning into a sentient being, you would think that it wouldn't be able to be pulled off very well, but I think that this design and the concept of Dhelmise was pulled off very well, and I just gotta say that aside from its typing, aside from its design, its ability is also a main selling point for this Pokemon. That being Steel Worker. And for those of you guys that don't know what Steel Worker does, it essentially grants you a third stab when it comes to Steel-type moves, because they get a 50% boost in the power of Steel-type moves. And I just gotta say that that right there, combined with the fact that it gets access to Anchor Shot, which is a base 80 Steel-type move that traps your opponents, I gotta say, man, that this Pokemon right here is definitely not only a force to be reckoned with, but it is an utter badass, too. Not to mention, with base 131 physical attack, you're gonna be taking a huge chunk out of your opponent's team when they face Dhelmise. So, with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to move on to number 7. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so making the number 7 spot on the list is Araquanid. Now, take a look at the design of Araquanid. I mean, I just absolutely love the design. It is a water spider with a water bubble helmet. And speaking of water bubble, that just happens to be its ability, which is a very high selling point when it comes to using Araquanid as a competitive Pokemon, because this ability is essentially 3 for 1. You get 3 different perks for the price of 1 ability. Water Bubble, not only does it double the power of Water-type moves, you also half the damage of Fire-type moves, and you also can't get burned. Now that Pokemon, coupled with its amazing bulk, especially on the special side of base 132, makes this Pokemon not only an exceptional hard hitter with its Water-type stab, but you also are able to take hits like it's no one's business. And even its base 92 physical defense isn't that bad either. I've seen this Pokemon steamroll through teams, especially given the fact that it has access to the likes of a Choice Band set, and also if this thing is under Rain too, which further boosts the power of Water-type moves. Good God. Like, this Pokemon is actually able to take a big chunk of health out of Toxapex, which is arguably one of the most broken 7th generation Pokemon there is. So, that just right there attests to the power of Araquanid and how this Pokemon should truly not be underestimated. And not to mention, why wouldn't you want to pick Araquanid either? Its design is so amazing. So, with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to move on to number 6! That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we got my girl Tsareena on the list for number 6, and I just gotta say, I am so happy and so proud of this Pokemon in terms of not only its design, because it is one of the best designs that there ever is in the history of Pokemon, but not only do its stats make this Pokemon even better as a competitive battler, Its ability, Queenly Majesty, makes this Pokemon a must-have on any competitive team, especially given the fact that priority is so bloody common these days, especially in the likes of VGC and doubles battles. This Pokemon's ability, Queenly Majesty, blocks all priority moves from taking place. And I just gotta say, man, that this ability right here makes this Pokemon so damn deadly. Not to mention, this Pokemon has access to the likes of Rapid Spin, as well as the likes of U-Turn for scouting. Not to mention, we also have ourselves Aromatherapy and Synthesis for not only healing and self-sustain, but it has access to a signature move known as Trop Kick, which is a base 70 grass-type move that hits relatively hard, but also lowers your opponent's attack stat by 1 stage. And given the fact that this Pokemon has a base 120 attack, that move is going to hurt. And given the fact that this Pokemon has relatively good bulk, with 72 HP, 98 in both the defense and special defense, this Pokemon is going to be not only dishing out hits, but it's going to be tanking hits for days as well. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to move on to number 5! Woo! So taking the 5th spot here on the list is Komala. And I just gotta say that this Pokemon is really, really cute and also really damn good in battle. I mean, it is a normal typing, so that means that you don't exactly have a lot of weaknesses to worry about. Only one, that being the fighting, so you're pretty good to go on that area. And you also are immune to Ghost, which is also pretty damn cool. This Pokemon is a really, really adorable sleeping koala bear. And speaking of sleeping, its ability Comatose means that it cannot be statused in any way, shape, and form with the exception of the sleep condition. And the thing of it is with this ability, you can't be paralyzed, you can't be poisoned, you can't be frozen, you can't be burned. And that right there just pretty much craps all over the likes of stall-based strategies. And that, I just wanted to point out, is pretty damn hilarious. Not to mention, this Pokemon has access to some pretty unique utility moves with the likes of U-Turn for scouting, Wish for healing as well as healing other teammates, Rapid Spin for clearing out entry hazards, and this also has access to some setup moves with the likes of Bulk Up and Swords Dance, and coming off a base 115 attack stat, you're going to be able to be hitting relatively hard, especially with some boosts under your belt. And I just gotta say, do not underestimate this Pokemon because this Pokemon is really damn good once it gets a really proper setup going and it's going strong in battle. So, with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to move on to number 4! Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so Lycanroc's midday form makes the spot on number 4, and I just gotta say, man, I absolutely adore this design. I mean, me being a dog person and this being one of the best designs ever in the history of Pokemon makes it the reason why this Pokemon ranks so high on the list, man. This Pokemon with a pure rock typing may not be the best defensive typing there is, but offensively, it is so amazing. Not to mention, it also has access to base 115 attack, 112 speed, making it one of the fastest Pokemon in Sun and Moon, and one of the overall fastest rock-type Pokemon there is. It also has access to priority, such as Sucker Punch, and a new exclusive move to Lycanroc-Midday form, a Cell Rock, which is a base 40 rock-type priority move. That means that this Pokemon is going to screw over the likes of Talonflame, Mega Charizard Y, Volcarona, the list goes on. And this thing also has access to the likes of Stealth Rocks and Taunt, making it an effective Stall Breaker and Stealth Rocks lead, all that good stuff, man. This Pokemon has all the right tools to be an effective force in battle. Whether you use this thing as a sweeper, because it does have access to the likes of Bulk Up and Swords Dance, it also can be used as a effective utility suicide lead Pokemon with the likes of, like I said, Stealth Rocks and Taunt. And this Pokemon just has the right amount of moves to make use for it in battle, making it, in my opinion, one of the best Pokemon to use in battle. Not to mention, its design is just pure badass, so why the hell would you want to skip out on using this Pokemon anyways? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to move on to number 3! Woo! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the next Pokemon on the list comes in the form of Mimikyu! And I just gotta say that with a Pokemon like this, where do I even begin? Seriously, where do I even begin? Like, this Pokemon in just about every single way possible is unique. It pretty much is in a league of its own, okay? I mean, first off, let's take a look at the typing, okay? It is that of Ghost and Fairy, which means that right off the bat, you have a first-time type combination that's never been done before Mimikyu. And I just gotta say with the typing like this, leaves you right off the bat with 3 immunities. That being to Normal, Fighting, and Dragon, which means that this Pokemon is going to have quite the amount of opportunities to be able to switch in and not take any damage. And speaking of not taking any damage, we get to the ability Disguise. And the ability Disguise allows for it to take a hit, regardless of whether or not it is super effective, and you take 0 damage. Now, of course, your costume will break, which means that Disguise no longer is intact and will not be intact for the rest of the battle. And this Pokemon essentially has a lot of opportunities to set up, whether it be through the likes of Swords Dance, whether it be through Substitute, or anything else that you can think of. So that means that this Pokemon has a free opportunity to set up regardless. Now, with that, it also has a really unique and really awesome physical move pool with the likes of Play Rough, Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak, Leech Life, etc. Which means that this thing will be dishing out some really heavy physical damage, especially given its multitude of opportunities to set up a Sword Stance and just start sweeping right off the bat. Now, we get into the design. This has never been done in the history of Pokemon. Mimikyu's design is not only so damn cute, it's also really damn scary if you take a look at the Pokedex entries. Apparently, one of the reasons why it is concealed underneath a Pikachu costume, not only to be loved given the fact that Pikachu is a very popular Pokemon, and it is very popular amongst the likes of merchandise, and it is also a mascot of the Pokemon franchise, but this Pokemon also has caused people to actually die out of shock and terror just by taking a look underneath its costume. And that right there is pretty damn scary on its own. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to move on to number 2! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so coming up next on the list, I know I'm copping out a bit by adding all 3 of the starters here on the second spot, but the thing of it is, I honestly could not choose between the 3 of them. I mean, originally, my pick was Primarina, but the thing of it is that I fell in love with all 3 of the starters equally in different ways, to be completely honest with you. Starting with Decidueye. Decidueye being a ghost grass typing makes it very unique, that has a type combination that's only shared with the likes of Trevenant, Gourgeist, and Dhelmise. Secondly, this Pokemon has a really unique move pool, not just for attacks, but also for support too. It can Baton Pass, it can Nasty Plot, it can Swords Dance, not to mention it also has access to the likes of Defog and Roost, making you an effective hazard remover. Not to mention, this thing also has access to Long Reach, which is a very unique ability that allows for you to not make contact regardless of what move you use, which is very beneficial given the fact that there are Pokemon that have access to the likes of Rocky Helmet, has access to the likes of Rough Skin, Iron Barbs, etc. Now, this Pokemon also is a very unique design by itself too. I mean, it is an Owl Archer. I mean, it doesn't get much more cool than that. So up next, we have Incineroar. Now take a look at the design of this Pokemon, and you'll understand why I just could not leave it out. It is a Fire Dark Wrestling Tiger that also is a heel, much like me in my character persona, and I'm also a big wrestling fan too. It has access to the hidden ability Intimidate, which is not yet released, and this Pokemon has a really unique move pool, especially suited and tailored for doubles battles. And I just gotta say that once Intimidate gets released, it is going to be a very menacing Pokemon to face off in doubles and even in singles too. And then we have Primarina. Now, Primarina is the final evolved form of Popplio, which out of the 3 pre-evolutions of the starters, Popplio is my favorite. And it turned into this majestic beauty queen right here, being a water fairy type and having access to base 126 special attack and base 116 special defense makes this Pokemon to be able to repeat history twice of having the highest stats out of any starter Pokemon as far as special attack and special defense goes. So you can understand why, or at least try to understand why I could not leave out any of the 3 starter Pokemon. So with all that being said and out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to move on to number 1! Woo! Ha 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 ha! Woo! That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We got my boy Golisopod taking the #1 spot on the list, and for good reasons. I mean, this Pokemon, where do I begin with a Pokemon like this? It is my signature Pokemon when it comes especially to my MegaCrasher Team Skull Boss Heal persona. But the thing of it is that this Pokemon right here, its design is flawless. I absolutely love its design. Not to mention, it has a really solid typing of Bug and Water, has really solid stats, okay? Base 125 attack, 140 defense. I mean, this thing is a physical monster, okay? It also has access to a plethora of priority moves. Aqua Jet, Sucker Punch, and its signature move, First Impression, which is a base 90 Bug-type move that allows for you to go first on the first turn in battle. And I just gotta say that coming off a base 125 attack, First Impression is going to hurt like hell. Now, of course, the thing of it is, people are going to argue, well, MegaCrasher, what about its ability, Emergency Exit? It's a pretty shit ability. Whoa, okay, here's the thing. I can understand why some people would say it's a shit ability, and to an extent, I kind of agree. But the thing of it is that this ability is actually a good thing, and if you know how to play into the ability strengths, then this ability is actually really damn cool. Now, think of it like this, okay? You're meant to bring this Pokemon in, use First Impression, wham! Get off a heavy hit, tank up a hit or two, Emergency Exit activates, you go out, bring in another Pokemon, and then later on down the road, you bring Golisopod in, wham! You end up getting off another hard-hitting First Impression, and that right there is the purpose of Emergency Exit, so that way you're able to use Golisopod and its First Impression move more than once. Now, of course, this is where the ability kind of hinders itself because of the thing that it does have access to the likes of Bulk Up and Swords Dance, allowing for it to set up its attack stat even higher. But the thing of it is that the likelihood of it being hit down to below half its health to where Emergency Exit activates, you end up losing all of their stats. And I can understand why it would be frustrating, but the thing of it is that, you know what, this Pokemon, regardless of its ability, it is just so damn amazing, and I absolutely refuse to take any sass against Golisopod, because I will knee choke you, boy! I am the Team Skull boss, don't you forget it, baby! Woo! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so that right there is what's going to conclude the list and conclude this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you fire off a like. It's like I said at the beginning of the program, let's aim for 25 likes, and if you want more content like this, make sure you rate, comment, share this channel, share this video, and subscribe today to MegaCrasher and the community! Woo! For the best, and I mean without a shadow of a doubt, the best Pokemon Sun and Moon news hype that you can find right now, right here, when it comes to done by this crazy nuthouse known as MegaCrasher, and just overall the best hype and entertainment! Woo! Because you guys already know the deal by now, my friends. When we're community type Packton is one, you know that we shine brighter than the sun and the moon combined. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next up, though.